Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to the Lord of the Rings adventure card game. With any luck, we'll be done with Quest 5 of this third campaign, which then would only leave us with really looking at the other two encounters here, and possibly doing a random skirmish. And yeah, with a decent amount of luck, this will just take one attempt. So let's just hop into it. There's nothing different here. Still playing with the same old deck that was recommended online, and it's working fairly well. It is a very better balanced deck than any of the default decks. I wish there was a way to kind of switch into it and show it off from this screen. Like, you should be able to like right click, or you should click on something and then there should be an edit button down here. Yeah, but no such luck.
Though the foul device is destroyed, your fellowship is trapped underground with many angry hillmen. You hear a mournful shriek and see the black form of the lady dash away. The hillmen gather a terrible force, but you know that without leadership, they'll turn on each other, and their assembled power will dissolve into nothing. You decide to give chase to the lady, and with a shout take pursuit. You dash headlong into a dark passage, seeing only the faintest hint of her in the distance. Despite your best efforts, her speed is greater than yours, and your knowledge of this place is wanting. So you slow your pace to better navigate its hazards. Sensing no pursuit from the hillman behind, you soon come to the top of the stair that sinks even further into the earth. You find the lady's trap and begin your descent. First, you hear only your own footfalls, but soon make out strange sounds around you. You are not alone in these depths, and something is coming.
One thing I can say is, at least in this story, you are destroying the tower, or you did in the previous quest. Collapse it, and then by collapsing the tower you take out a bunch of the hillmen, who apparently aren't even really the bad guys anymore since they're not chasing after you, and then get knocked into a lower cavernous area, and now we're going even deeper. There is always this theme of there being something unknown underground in all of the stories, and really it feels a lot like Bioshock 3, or where they straight up say there's always a lighthouse, and there's always a city, and there's always a protagonist, and then always a bad guy antagonist character. In Tolkien Lord of the Rings stories, it always feels like there's always a wizard, there's always a tower, there's always something underground, there's always this ancient unknown history being unearthed and brought back. There's always conflict, and usually conflict involving multiple species or nations or tribes. There's always food mentioned. That being said, these criticisms very well may just line up into the fact that I heavily suspect these stories have not really been written by Tolkien, and they are instead being written by somebody trying to seem like they are Tolkien, so they are copying elements over and over again. If you were to think of each of these stories in these three campaigns as being on equal level and equal canon to The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, that would be extremely repetitive compared to, say, Narnia, the Narnia book series, where the Narnia book series is actually very varied. There is always Narnia, there is almost always Aslan as the main godlike character in Narnia, but there isn't always a lion. The Aslan is a lion. There isn't always a witch. There isn't always a wardrobe. It isn't always the same characters or kids. where they go, what they do, isn't all the same. It's much more varied. But then again, I guess if you look at the Harry Potter stories, there's always Harry Potter, Hermione, and Ron Weasley. There's always Hogwarts. There's always a bad guy who is usually the dark arts teacher, Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. There's always Voldemort. There's always the principal of the school. Very little variety in between those books. But that pattern works well for younger kids. It doesn't work as well for older stories.
I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. Must be someone intelligent in the party.
So the Great Downward Stair. Pursuing the lady. Pause now if you want to read that. The text is too small for me. Okay. So. Shield looks good. I don't know if we want that quite yet. We don't want that. And we'll say no to that one too. Your quest begins. Defeat 6 enemies or every enemy in play. Pursue for 8 power here. Or grant +1 value to pursue. We can unlock Brever and bring her back as a character. We can do another catching up. We could draw cards. We could do another catching up. This is something it looks like we can't do anything about. We just have to wait 8 turns. Okay. So this character is immediately damaged. I don't know what specific character caused that to happen, but it did happen. We can't attack this, so it is beneficial to probably just do this. I could have attacked and I could have attacked. Catching up, catching up, catching up, catching up would save us 4 turns. Which that's probably a smart move to do eventually. Go ahead and play this first. I'm pushing my luck, certainly. It's a hero here may just get killed. doesn't seem quite like I should do, but whatever. And see, this may just be a random case of this really may be a case of just being very unlucky, or this really could be a case of me just not protecting this character when he needed a lot of protection. Let's see. See, so it says defeat every enemy in play, or defeat one more enemy. Basically the same thing in this case, except for the problem with this one is there's not much I can do. See, if I was able to catch up and catch up and catch up. I could remove 4 spots, but I'd still have to survive 2 more turns. Can I kill this guy? Yes.
You show way up. I'll skin you.
Assuming he doesn't kill this random ally. So I don't understand what's really going on here. Because for me this really comes off as though this is just going to either carry over to the next location, or this would have led to something else. Maybe a more difficult fight that we're skipping, maybe a less difficult fight that we aren't skipping.
You step out into a large chamber, strangely lit by some unseen source.
We're not in the best position.
This must be some ancient palace ballroom, or other grand chamber that stretches wide all around you. The floor is so finely polished that it's nearly a looking glass, and despite the years, you can make out your own likeness in the floor below you. You make out the sounds of the lady somewhere ahead in the distance, so you must yet be on her trail. With no time to waste, you begin to cross the chamber when a clacking sound emerges from beside you. Something has arrived to challenge your passage.
Really, all these stories just make whatever the old Middle Earth was sound way more interesting. I would be way more intrigued to find out who made this palace, or at least get some backstory to it, and what that world was like. It's weird, but I guess the general idea is that Middle Earth is in a post-apocalyptic state, in the sense that all of Middle Earth has reverted to a simpler time and structure, where once there were castles and palaces that still stand today, they have just been buried by a whole bunch of soil, unless a wizard actually just buried all the palaces and they aren't really that old. So now it's the glassy floor. Yeah, and we can just force travel to the next location. So I think we do that. I think we do that immediately. We could take out these 7 enemies. We could also try to pursue this character, which it does seem like you might just finish the whole story. Okay, let's do this. And then let's just do this.
You come across a former crypt where the honoured dead were once buried and now remembered with statues and their likenesses and inscriptions carved into stone. Long since, however, the common stones from the city above have fallen to mix here amongst the broken remains of ancient memorials. Bones intermix with the broken limbs of statues to create a macabre scene where art and life square off. You tread lightly here, either in reverence to those interned in this vault, or for fear of disturbing them. The remaining ceiling above teeters precariously of your heads, so caution is indeed called to avoid bringing the entire roof down upon you.
I imagine you could probably make a pretty decent game, somewhat similar to Skyrim / what I assume Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is somewhat like, where you would have a big open field area of Middle Earth that is sporadically filled on the surface, but plenty of caves and tunnels to lead to places like this. Skyrim was notorious for having a ton of caves, each with very repetitive dwemer, is what they called them, but basically just skeleton mummy type characters. Resolve every hazard in the fallen crypt. Cover 1 non-unique ally. Each player draws cards equal to its cost. The problem I think you face with this is that one of these, I think, removes your power. Well, that's gonna suck. Fateful Curse requires 2 to get rid of it. Drawing 3 cards doesn't make sense.
On to adventure!
No, I don't want to do that. Whoops. And so that used my energy even though I clicked X. That seems completely unfair. That changing your mind uses all your energy up. Okay, well, let's go ahead and kill somebody. Well, that seemed to do something. Let's go ahead and get rid of that hazard. And then looks like we could probably take out another hazard. So it's probably worth doing that.
Good many yet.
Then
Run down!
let's go ahead and just put this guy in defense mode. And what happens if we never catch up? Do you just lose? Or does this go on forever? Like, it really can't go on forever. They can't just keep on giving us story and new locations and new playfields, which this is perhaps not the best looking playfield of them all, but it looks pretty good. Still. 3 damage to every character or exhaust every character. None of those seem fair. We have another debilitating curse. We'll play that. We already have 7 characters on the field. Just stole an item, and it's kind of not worth it to do anything else. End one turn. Looks like we're gonna catch up, and we'll see what happens when we catch up. She escaped. Was I supposed to let her escape? Or what? Like, is it better that she did escape, or is it a bad thing that she escaped? Or does it not really matter at all? It seems like we may just get an ending, whether it's a good ending or a bad ending. It's to be determined. This guy's right, well. Let's just get rid of our least helpful character, which is probably this one. And we'll do this. And boost the threat. And then we'll just attack that. Should we do anything this turn?
You emerge onto a thin trail slick with moisture. Ahead, you hear a constant roar that reveals itself to be a waterfall striding hole. Torrents of water cascade over the side of a rock face that drops down to a subterranean stream far below. A tattered old rope carries across the chasm to the other side. You test the strength of the ropes, and it seems sturdy enough to hold your weight, although you can't be sure until you cross. With no other passengers from this place, the lady must have gone through here, so you've no choice but to follow.
So, this is a particularly different looking field, and I would say very visually distracting. Use the rope bridge to reach the other side, cross the bridge. Each player. The bridge will snap at 39. So we have like 5 turns to get through this whole thing. So this very first turn, we may be in such a safe position to start with that we clear the field. Although, it is possible that the bats do manage to cause some problems. Nothing really says I shouldn't just use this now.
Be gone, darkness!
And actually, I would have just won this turn had I attacked at one point with this. This guy can't even attack, so it just doesn't matter. Again, we can play curses, get rid of them. As long as he's playing something with a 1 attack, this 1 defense would make it pointless. Alright, so we'll get that perfect there. And so now the question is, would we want to put anything else in a defense mode? I think we can do that. And do we want to really replace anybody? We draw cards. Let's say no, let's just travel. And this is like the 4th or 5th place we've gone.
Gorogha was content to slumber. Here he had lain for many years, hidden away with treasure from the concerns of mortal man or elves or dwarves or hobbits. Though he lacked the wings of some of his fellows, he did not lack cunning. He had found this rest long ago, deep beneath the ruins of a city of men, and it remained safe from their prying eyes. He was content to sleep to return here, and when hungry, make his way to the surf to dine upon the odd deer or sheep or goat, or even the occasional hillman who came too close. He was content in the knowledge that his cunning made him safe. And that was quite enough. So it came as a shock when he heard the distant footfalls of men here in the Undercity, Imagine, he thought, a Gorn. If they ventured too close, they would learn what it is to disturb dragon slumber. He must prepare for the hearty welcome.
So now we're fighting a dragon, even if it's a wingless dragon, which probably means it isn't technically a dragon by most definitions. Which definitely makes it seem like, unless catching up with the lady would have ended this sequence early, it seems like it really would have been wasteful to fight the lady unless she gives you some kind of dragon slaying item. Of course, the artifacts in the device pretty much have been forgotten about, and I don't think have anything to do with this dragon particularly.
You have ventured for some time seemingly endless catacombs, sinking deeper beneath the surface. After a time, it's obvious that not only have you lost the trail of the lady, but you are who lost yourselves. You stumble about in the dark until you see a light flickering up ahead. Following this light, you make your way into an enormous chamber that was once a vault warehouse held up by some stone columns. The place is filled nearly to the ceiling with all manner of treasures, from coins to gems to fine jewelry and great artifacts of old. A dark and terrible voice calls out. A huge reptilian beast strides into view. One of the fire drakes of legend. Though reputed to be less powerful than their winged cousins, any kind of dragon is not something to be taken lightly. While you sort out one type of quarry, you found one much more terrible.
Yeah, it sounds like I've made a big mistake here, and I almost wouldn't be surprised if you just lose automatically because of this. And this does seem reminiscent of the You Shall Not Pass segment of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or whatever. But the problem is we don't have Gandalf mentioned in our party, nor does this quite feel like the same story. It just seems like it's almost a plagiarism of that story. Villains of Legend. The villain of legend is a powerful adversary with both health and willpower. To defeat it, you must reduce each of their abilities to 0 by dealing damage and, does that say trauma, respectively? When targeting a villain of legend, a character deals both attack and power. Standard combat and battle will rules applies. Remember, again, a villain of legend only affects that increase or decrease units' own willpower can be used. Cards that apply progress have no effect. So we've been shown a new mechanic here at the very end of the single player content, which really just gives the feeling that this whole game is unfinished as a concept. 3 attack, 23 willpower, 28 health. Place 1 random attachment on the dragon with a bear patch. Bear patch would remove block and take +1 damage when attacked. Alright, that sounds like something to go for. This adds a curse to each player's deck and shuffles it. Okay. I think we can start by doing this. That seems like a smart move. Next, I apparently lost Bilbo's cloak, so let's play that again. And then, don't want to replace that. Don't want to replace that. So we'll give that to that. Two, 4, 6 would kill this character. I think that's probably in line to do. This guy seems like he's getting extra attack per round and is just going to get more and more powerful. Yeah, I don't see a way that this doesn't turn out really poorly. Okay, I see what that did now. That got rid of his extra attack, limiting him, and now makes him weak. Okay. Dangerous curse was 0 and it just automatically played. Go ahead and play this. Well, I guess at this point it's just all attacks. No matter what, for the most part. We'll put that in defense mode. His willpower may go fairly quickly. We got that dragon claw again. Darn it. I could play this next turn, and there might be some real reason to do that. Are we gonna survive here? Might of the Dragon, no way to really reduce any of that. We could, like, this guy doesn't have enough health. But I also need to take out his willpower, obviously. And I just don't think in this case I'm going to have each of these heroes survive. So I was going to do Frodo's intuition here. That doesn't make any sense now. Let's do this instead. Deal 3 damage. Deal 4 damage. That doesn't kill him though. We need 6 more. This guy needs to survive, which I don't see a real reason why he would. This guy's gonna attack. This is not enough to play. Just have to do this. And honestly, I just have to do this also. Can we win on this? Is the question. I think the answer is probably yes. I think the trick is to use Frodo's intuition first. Frodo's intuition. Go ahead and discard that card. Okay. I think everything screams do this now and attack, because this guy doesn't have any items on him at the moment, so we want to get as much willpower damage to him as possible. I think this guy would die though. Can we heal our characters? I don't think we can. Let's see if that kills that. Yeah, it does. Okay, we need 5. We can get 5 with this and this. So we'll do that.
Fine. Wolf. Come on.
Interesting. I would be summoning other characters. Let's just do that. So we've got this like dog character. That filled my fate meter. I don't know what specifically caused the fate meter to fill that much, but okay. Can't play Gandalf. Could play Bilbo's Cloak. Let's see. See who he decides to attack there. This is one of those cases where I really wish if you were at 12 fate, it would stop your threat level from going up, or at least do something to reward you for that. Now we just equipped that character again. This is gonna kill me if I attack that one, so let's just kill this one and see if we can actually pull that off. Maybe we'll get a heal that way.
Show me the way up. Sking you.
I guess I'll just put this in defense mode, since I don't think I can do anything else. Nothing's likely to save me here. If you play 2 here, and you just hope that's really all this just comes down to, is you're just hoping. That you can survive one more turn. And so we're back to a situation where almost certainly it makes some sense to potentially just reset progress and chase after the lady, who almost certainly is an easier fight than a villain of legend is. Okay. I think these ranged characters probably should be increased. Let's start by killing this guy. Well, that was terrible. You could maybe get something really lucky. suppose that lets me heal this character. Then what do we want to do? This would kill this if I attack, this will kill this if I attack. This one can attack. Everything else basically has to be power, which means I probably should have activated that earlier. It still has Dragon Claws though. If I had something that significantly reduced the willpower, I could probably win on the health. If I had something that significantly reduced the health. This fateful curse seems to just return it to your deck. So actually you shouldn't play that one. Okay. What is Dragon Scales actually doing? Gains Protect, upkeep gains Protect. So just like every turn. The music is very dramatic. Which, yeah, that feels appropriate. Maybe we could win next turn with Frodo's intuition. I guess it just is going to come down to how many characters does he actually kill with this action. Okay. Frodo's intuition. Okay. So it's probably best to just attack the bat first. Seems like you've lost though. I can keep this one stealth hero alive. Sure. But that is kind of all I can do. If I make it so he cannot possibly attack the stealth character, which maybe he can't, I can go through the rest of my deck and throw enemies at him. As long as I don't let this one die. Which I guess that's the question, is can I play that way? But see, he may just start to play a lot of cards that... And it seems like at some point here he's just gonna be able to activate something. Frodo's intuition isn't gonna do anything for us. Frodo's... This guy's not gonna do anything for us. We don't really need energy, I think, but let's go ahead and take it anyways. Okay, that was a mistake.
Garoga was...
Okay. I think I've generally got it. Notice it's also not letting me pick cards. So this is our protected character. We want a Bilbo's Cloak on this character, and we want to heal this character as much as possible because he's our safety. Everybody else we pretty much are... Okay, I'm back. So the computer just fully locked up and broke. So this is the second time we've had real problems with this program. And when I went back and looked at the last two videos, I noticed that the audio is echoing when it's reading out the narration. That is not happening in my headphones. Like, it sounds perfectly fine. So I think we're going to win here. This guy just has 10 willpower, so if I can just play this next turn and attack, I should be able to win. If not, I may have to play a little bit cautiously. The only thing that would be nice is if I could somehow reduce the might of the dragon. Actually, come to look at it, this might go very poorly because this is going to die, this is going to die, this is going to survive, this is going to die, and this is going to die. But there's basically nothing I can do to stop that from happening here. Like, I could play Frodo's intuition now. And then that would give this 4 to attack with. But let's just end the phase. So this whole system, as far as this legendary fight, almost certainly is a case where it would have been easier to avoid this fight. Okay, I think we may have it here. Frodo's intuition first. And so the move is to, as quickly as possible, do as much damage possible to this guy with the willpower. And I think we can win here. I think we're in a good thing. Yes, we are effectively killing a lot of characters in this process, but whatever. It just doesn't matter. We've got it. And so, Death Throes of a Dragon. Pause now if you want to read that. And that's campaign completed. After full reboot.
The night toward the mountains. There she will make her way south and still further until she returns to Minas Morgul, to her rightful place in the service of the Witch King. She had joined her master bidding of the necromancer so long ago, when he recalled her slumber, her duty to serve, and she had done since. Though she expected to serve, what she had not anticipated was her response to the master's presence. He was not at all what she expected. What at first merely served the command of their lord had grown to become more. A kinship, something else. She would have time to ponder this and more on her long journey back.
So yeah, it seems by this dialogue, no matter what you would have done, this Ardaway, however you're going to pronounce it, would have escaped and not been killed in the story. I wonder how many other legendary characters are hidden throughout different quests and campaigns. I would suspect there's possibly one at the end of each campaign, but who knows. It would be interesting, I guess, if for either because the male narrator read this out or because my computer rebooted, the audio is possibly not echoing, but I would suspect for you it is echoing. I don't really know a reason for that, although come to look at it, there might be a very good reason for that to happen. My audio settings may have been messed up at some point, because, yeah. And maybe only when it's reading does it have that delay that you can actually recognize, whereas sound effects might have less of an effect. I'll have to check all of that later.
After some time, your fellowship makes its way out of the Undercity and back to the light of day within the ruins of Fornost. The Hillmen have scattered, their threat abated. Though you did not destroy the mysterious Dark Lady, you did destroy her infernal device and put an end to her plans, whatever they may have been. Taking comfort the Northlands no longer in immediate danger, you begin the long back to breathe, dreaming of a warm meal and bed, as well as a tankard. Closing your cloaks around you against the chill, you begin your journey southward.
And we still have no idea who these characters are. And it does kind of give the feeling that, like, the Witch King literally only has resurrected necromantic generals. That he doesn't have a single living creature that serves him, which is weird. It definitely limits the variety of generals and enemies like that. And it definitely feels like none of these stories get anywhere close to Bilbo or Frodo or the Lord of the Rings story. The Mount Doom, the ring race, none of that ever mentioned. We got a little bit of that, I suppose, in the tutorial, where we were, I think, dealing with Golem and maybe Frodo. But that seems to be about it. Which, if anything, it makes it seem like they were holding back to add campaigns that would have been directly the events of The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, and they just gave up far before that happened. We've unlocked another 2 copies of one card. I somehow managed to complete the quest with every hero in play. We didn't manage to complete the quest with Brevor in play. We didn't complete the quest with 7 characters in play for each player. And then we didn't avoid triggering location-specific threat events, excluding the final encounter. And we didn't reach the ruined cellar before the pursuit of Arduin. Hill resolves. So we only got 200 fellowship points for that one. 15 fellowship points for these 3 heroes. And then there should be a campaign reward of Against a Shadow that they didn't even really tell you about. There is nothing new here. It's just these 3 campaigns. There is not a new adventure, and none of this is like purchasable either. Let's just put that out there too, that it's not like there is more content that can be purchased with Fellowship in-game currency, or more content that can be purchased as DLC on the Steam interface, Steam store. Maybe at some point those things might have been purchasable, but they definitely aren't now. So I'm gonna, in the next episode, we'll try and do both this encounter and this encounter. These are gonna be super hard. We're gonna give it the college try effectively and just do it once on each, and then we'll try to do one skirmish at the end of these random skirmishes. Seems like this is where you would fight the Balrog always. And didn't we do one of these? I swear we already have done quick play. Yeah, we did this because the mirror shows you a vision of a possible future. That's exactly something we had already done. And that makes a lot of sense, that we would have done tutorial, then quick play, then adventures, then campaigns, and now we're to encounters. So yeah, next episode we won't even try that. We've already done Feast of Trolls and failed miserably on this. We do still have some progress there, so we could continue if we wanted to, but I would really need to reset progress and change the deck to even give it a chance. I suppose if in the next episode these 2 were super easy with this new deck that was recommended online, then there is an argument to try and do this. But honestly, I don't think I would care enough to actually try for that. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's some links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.